Burst weapons are a lot of fun in shooting games, and while they're not always the best choice in Call of Duty, there have been some awesome ones throughout the last 20 years. Today, we're going to take a long journey throughout COD history and talk about the best burst weapon in every single game from COD 4 all the way to Modern Warfare 3 2023. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Chaos here. Welcome to the Every COD series. Now, obviously, not every Call of Duty game has had burst weapons, so there may be one or two games that don't get a shout out here, but if you're ready to get nostalgic, go grab a snack, get comfy, and let's take a trip down memory lane. Let's talk about the best burst weapons in Call of Duty history from 2007 all the way to 2024. You let me know in the comments what your favorite burst weapon in COD history is. Drop a like on this video. Make sure you subscribe with those notifications on. And we start at COD 4. The M16A4, no shocker here, but we had to get it out of the way. It's one of the most infamous weapons in COD history because of how busted it was. 3-round burst rifle, spit 3 shots out over 900 rounds per minute, and each one of those shots would deal some pretty insane damage. Then you could use stopping power. You could drop people with 2 bullets at mid-range and 3 bullets at max range, just like a sniper rifle, meaning you could literally one-burst people from across the map if you were decent. Since the recoil was basically non-existent, staying on target with this gun was not hard to do. It was also the only burst weapon available in COD 4, so even if it wasn't completely overpowered, it still would have gotten a spot on today's list. And then, World at War. No burst weapons, no choice to make. We move on. Modern Warfare 2 2009. The M93 Raffica. This one was actually kind of hard because there were some really good burst rifles in the original Modern Warfare 2, but this was also the first burst pistol in COD history, and it's still seen as one of the best secondaries ever put in a Call of Duty game. Despite being a pistol, it would hit for between 30 and 40 base damage with no stopping power, meaning you could one-burst people with no help from perks. This also meant if you were using stopping power, this pistol now had the ability to one-burst people from across the map because the minimum base damage was above 33. This was the first time in COD history that people started using pistols as their primary weapons, and it was definitely the best burst weapon in that game. And who remembers CNanders getting his nukes on top of... where was he? Karachi? I don't even remember. But yeah, he was using this. Now we arrive at Black Ops. The G11. Some of you might have picked the M16, but I'm of the option that the G11 was statistically better. This rifle was kind of hard to unlock, and a lot of people dropped it due to the awkward handling and weird reload animation. But the damage, the accuracy, I mean, it was insane. It was laser accurate, had no recoil, and the time to kill was absurd if you hit your shots and aimed high. The Black Ops 1 M16 may have been the more iconic burst weapon, but if we're talking raw stats here, you have to give the edge to the G11, and rumor has it, this weapon is going to be coming back in Black Ops 6. I mean, would you want to see it? Take off the scope and you're good to go with this thing. Iron sights, it was perfect. Modern Warfare 3 2011. The Type 95. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was only 2 burst weapons in the original Modern Warfare 3. One of them was that really bad M16, and then there was the Type 95. I mean, seriously, the M16 in the game was one of the worst in COD history, so that kind of means the other burst weapon, the Type 95, gets the spot by default. It was a little awkward, because it really wasn't that good a gun after it was nerfed. When Modern Warfare 3 first dropped, it had serious COD 4 M16 vibes, but after the initial balancing patch, it kind of fell to the middle of the tier list, and most people forgot it was even in the game. It did have potential, but it wasn't amazing. And it really only gets a shout out on the list because its competition was absolutely terrible. Black Ops 2. The M8A1. I was between the M8 and the B23R for this one, but come on. The M8A1 is one of the most iconic rifles in COD history, still seen by many players as the best 4-round burst ever put in a COD multiplayer. The rifle was a hit with the competitive players. It was a hit with the pub stompers. I mean, the insane time to kill, it was good. It did. It had some strange little quirks. It gave it a bit of a skill gap. The potential fire rate was awesome, but if you didn't learn the timing of those bursts, you were going to have a rough time of it. But the damage per shot was amazing, and the feeling of one person bursting somebody from across the map with this gun was unmatched. Hearing 4 hit markers all connect one right after another was one of the most satisfying sounds in FPS history. And yes, I still talk about Goonjar for Team Caliber holding down hardpoint as an anchor with the M8A1. Now let's talk about Call of Duty Ghosts. The MSBS. Raise your hand if you played Call of Duty Ghost on launch day, because if you did, you remember that the MSBS was completely overpowered and Infinity Ward had to nerf it into the ground very quickly. In fact, I think this was one of the fastest balancing patches in COD history in terms of how quick the developers rushed it out after the launch of the game. Before the nerfs, this gun was basically the COD 4 M16, but with a bunch of added attachments, and naturally, it was completely overpowered. After the nerfs, it was a mid-tier burst rifle with decent potential, but mostly outclassed by the fully automatic guns in the game, like the MTAR-X, the Honey Badger, the Remington, and some others. The MSBS still gets a spot on the list because, well, there weren't really any other good burst weapons in Ghost, and I challenge you, name me another burst weapon in COD Ghost. Advanced Warfare. The ARX 160. It was well loved by many Advanced Warfare players because of the accuracy and the reliability. It didn't hit as hard as a lot of burst rifles in COD history, but the clean iron sights and the super smooth handling, it made it feel really good in your hands. Unfortunately, it wasn't a top-tier weapon despite being the best burst weapon because burst weapons in general kind of suffered during the jetpack era of COD. When your target could switch direction midair with the touch of a button, it was kind of hard to justify not using a fully automatic weapon that could spray your target down without having to precisely time your trigger pulls with a burst weapon. I mean, you also had to track their movements. It was tough. But with that being said, there were some really good ones, and the ARX was one of them. Also, Black Ops 3. The M16. You probably expected the M8A7. No. The M16 was added to Black Ops 3 as DLC a while after the game's life cycle, and frankly, it's one of the best M16s in COD history. The base damage was 30 to 40 per shot. That's pretty standard for an M16, and the fire rate of the burst was 909 rounds per minute, which was almost as fast as the COD 4 version. But what really made this version of the M16 so busted and shine so hard, without any attachments, it was the range. It could hit for 40 base damage up to 50 meters, meaning it was a one-burst kill in almost every scenario because, let's be real, most of the combat in Black Ops 3 was taking place at less than 50 meters. So, great rate of fire, great accuracy, virtually always a one-burst kill. Yeah, this thing was insane. If you were lucky enough to pull it from a supply drop, you'll probably agree with me. If you weren't, you'll probably push the M8A7 or maybe even the RK5 pistol. Infinite Warfare. The Rajan EMX? I don't even know how to say this gun. The first burst SMG to make it on the list. Burst SMGs are always kind of a hard sell because most SMG players like to be able to run around and spray walls of bullets at people, so having a burst weapon while also running around and getting up close and personal, that can be a hard playstyle to get used to. However, if you ever goofed around with the EMX in Infinite Warfare, which was added as DLC a few months after launch, you probably know why it's here. This SMG was seen by many players as the best gun in its class, possibly even the best gun in the game if you were willing to get good at timing your bursts. It would fire 3 shots at a time, came with a 30-round mag, but the fire rate was really, really high. The time between the bursts, really, really short. And the damage per shot, really, really ridiculous. It was an awkward gun to get used to, but if you did get used to it, it was arguably a top 5 weapon in all of Infinite Warfare. COD World War II. The ITRA burst. The ITRA, whatever. COD World War II didn't launch with any burst weapons for obvious reasons, but one was actually added to DLC a few months after launch. It wasn't bad, all things considered. This thing took 4 shots at a time, hit for between 33, 24 damage, 4 to 5 shot kill, no headshots. Yeah, since recoil was perfectly straight up and down, that always meant you would at least stand to get 1 shot at the head, and if you threw the advanced rifling attachment on it, was virtually a 1 burst kill. So yeah, not much competition for best burst weapon, but here you go. Black Ops 4, the Swordfish. Yep, another 4-round burst. Tactical rifle, first 4 shots at a time, had some insane killing potential for a game like Black Ops 4 that had a really long time to kill. Any weapon that could kill as quickly as a Swordfish theoretically could get pretty popular. A lot of Black Ops 4 players were running around with this thing and basically just treating it like an M8A1 from Black Ops 2. Now, you did have to play to the gun's strengths, and you basically always had to get the first shot on your enemy because if you missed your first burst, they were almost certainly going to just pop a stim shot and get you back. But if you got the first shot off and you kept your reticle high, the Swordfish had one of the best theoretical TTKs in the entire game, and it did have a dedicated following back in the Black Ops 4 days. Modern Warfare 2019. The Renetti. I love the name. It just rolls off the tongue. Renetti. It's not a burst weapon by default, but it did have an attachment that made it a 3-round burst, and that's the version I'm talking about today. Burst weapons weren't really popular in this game. The fast time to kill meant you were rarely going to use something that wasn't fully automatic, but having a burst pistol in your back pocket was a nice piece of insurance, and even though the Renetti wasn't very powerful after the nerfs, it got a lot more playtime from the community than weapons like the FR556 did, so I'm going to give it the spot. It was busted when it was first added to the game, but that was quickly brought under control with some patches that turned it into a reliable, if somewhat underwhelming, sidearm. Black Ops Cold War M16 again. Actually had quite a few burst weapons, but I'm going to stick with the tried and true M16 for this list. It was a bit on the heavy side, could feel a bit clunky at first, but the damage per shot was good, and it had it had a pretty quick time to kill. I mean, I think the time to kill in Black Ops Cold Wars are longer, right? This came in handy. You would very consistently get one burst kills with this version of the M16, and it also has to be one of the best looking and best sounding versions of that rifle in COD history. So ultimately, it doesn't matter for the ranking, but it's a nice touch. I mean, there's some other great burst weapons in Black Ops Cold War, but something about this version of the M16 that stuck out to me. Vanguard. Woo! The Itra burst, again. There wasn't really many burst weapons in COD Vanguard, so this once again stood out for being your reliable choice, all things considered. Most people were running fully automatic weapons in this game, but I guess it was fun if you wanted to shake it up. I mean, whatever. I mean, I don't know. Best burst weapon in Vanguard. Not a lot of competition. Let's move on. Modern Warfare 2 2022. One more time. The M16. A lot of people didn't like this version of it, but I found myself in a bit of a weird spot when doing the ranking because if you correct me if I'm wrong, but was the M16 the only burst weapon in the game? I know there were other weapons that had attachments that could give them burst fire capabilities, but was the M16 the only weapon in the game that was burst fire by default? And were there any burst weapons even worth using? This version of the M16 wasn't bad by any means, but it also wasn't anything special from what I could tell. I don't know. This was kind of a dark time for COD multiplayer, so it's hard to say. Let's just move on. And last but not least, Modern Warfare 3 2023. The FR556. Basically just the burst FAMAS from classic Modern Warfare 2, but with more attachments and perks at your disposal to make it even better. Now, I know a lot of COD players love the full auto FAMAS, but the burst version always has a special place in my heart. The FR556 in Modern Warfare 3 was a solid representation of just that. There you have it, my friends. That is the best burst weapon in every single Call of Duty. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon.